Well, Ashes of Creation went up in flames, so I guess it's official. MMOs are dead. In my game library, I've been replacing almost all MMO playtime with action RPG. I find that I've always loved MMOs. I probably always will. They were my main genre of game for most of my, I don't even know how long I've been gaming. But I've been playing MMOs for over 20 years, if you can believe it. But as much as I love MMOs, there's such a commitment and such a grind. And it's difficult to fit MMO playtime into a adult lifestyle when you have a demanding job, family, a house, all kinds of stuff where you need to spend your time that you can't necessarily be scheduling hours of raiding every week or working around lockout timers and dailies. And I've replaced MMOs with action RPGs because action RPGs have better combat, usually better progression and more build customization. And there's no commitment and you can just play alone. I actually prefer playing with people usually. Like I love co-op games. I love playing ARPGs with friends. It's super fun, but I just can't justify the time investment playing MMO, most weeks of the year. So I'm not super surprised that I was surprised that Ashes of Creation got canceled, but immediately after the surprise wore off, it's kind of like, yeah, a ton of MMOs got canceled last year, like 4 or 5. And I was really looking forward to Ashes of Creation. I almost bought it to get into the early access just to try it out, see what it's like before 1.0 came out. It looked awesome, and I hope it isn't completely dead, but they pretty much laid off everybody at the company, so I don't think it's gonna recover. And this is, what happens. This is the video game industry. Big money, big projects. Sometimes they just don't make it to completion. It's a seismic shift. I still think about going back to World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14, just for fun to mess around. I don't have any deep desire to go back to WoW. I just have a lot of nostalgia about it. And it's one of the few MMOs that actually has dwarves. I love playing as dwarves. I'm 6'4", and for whatever reason, short, stocky, Scottish, bearded alcoholics are very appealing to me in a role playing sense. I'm just taking a moment of silence for Ashes of Creation. But it's been at least a couple years since I replaced MMOs with ARPGs in my game library. I still mess around on MMOs every once in a while. Me and my buddy been playing EverQuest 2 lately, which is fun. I just find ARPG combat's a lot better. And some ARPGs have better build customization than MMOs would. I'm not really into theme park MMOs anymore. Like that was one of my issues with Final Fantasy 14. I just don't really like how you enter an area and there's a pack of one type of mob over here, some rabbits. There's a bunch of rabbits all grouped together in a pack. And then you go over here and there's wolves in a pack over here. Like it just looks unnatural. It's kind of immersion breaking a little bit. It just like it doesn't seem like a real world in a lot of theme park MMOs. But on the flip side, with like real sandbox MMOs, stuff like PAX Day, Darkfall, when that was a thing, I'm struggling to think of other like real sandbox MMOs. Some of them are too empty in a way where I think classic WoW just hit the mark in such a great way. Even EverQuest 2, I kind of like how they handle mob placement. It's not as cheesy as Final Fantasy 14. But I'm curious to hear your guys' feedback. Were you surprised Ashes got canceled? Have you replaced MMOs with another genre like ARPGs or, maybe CRPGs even? I guess we'll wait and see what happens with the news cycle around it. Maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel for that game, but honestly, at this point, the only two things I would consider as maybe saving grace for the MMO genre would be WoW 2, EverQuest 3, or a huge rework of Final Fantasy 14. I really want to play more Final Fantasy 14, but sometimes I get really sleepy playing that game, which makes me think it's kind of boring. And other times I just get kind of turned off by the open world gameplay. And without looking at numbers, obviously WoW and Final Fantasy 14 still have huge daily concurrent player counts, and I'm not really the type to take player counts as like the be all end all metric for whether or not a game is doing well. Don't get me wrong, metrics are important, but most games can survive on like 5,000 daily players or 10,000 daily players. Like I don't think daily player counts are as indicative as most internet dwelling folks would argue. That's my opinion. Because I don't really care if there's 150,000 people playing my game or 10,000 people playing my game, especially if it's mostly a single player game, right? Anyway, I still have huge nostalgia for MMOs. I'd like to play more in the future, but we'll see if they survive as a genre. Give this video a like. I'd love to hear your comments, and thanks for watching.